All right, so coming up next, we are going to dive into Mel's final 6 prospects on his big board. All these guys are really, really good, but one notable change that I wanted to ask, actually 2 of them, I wanted to ask Mel about. Coming up, final 6 players in Mel Kiper Jr.'s top 25. That's next here on First Draft. All right, we're back here on First Draft. Mel Kiper Jr., I am Field Yates. We have reached the final 6 players in Mel's top 25. Mel, the only one that I think is actually fairly quick and we don't have to talk about a whole lot is Brock Bowers, number 6, Rome Odunze, number 5, Malik Neighbors, number 4, Marvin Harrison Jr., number 3, Jayden Daniels, number 2, and Caleb Williams, number 1. I don't have any questions about Brock Bowers, so if you want to say anything, here's your chance to say nice things about Brock Bowers.
Not much to say that I haven't said before, Field. I get tired of hearing this nonsense that he's just a tight end. Give me a break. He's just a tight end. He's everything. Watch him play. TE there, tight end? No, he's everything, okay? You can use him in the backfield. You can put him anywhere on the football field. He's a nightmare to try to match up with. So, I don't care where he goes. He's going to be a whale of a pick. He could be in line to be Rookie of the Year in the NFL if he goes to the right team and the right quarterback. So, I love Brock Bowers. Loved him when he came to Georgia. He was an immediate impact performer, a star. Immediately, a star is born the first day he stepped on that field between the hedges at Georgia for Kirby Smart. I don't know how you put him any lower than where maybe 9, 10 on the big board. I don't know how you get him out of the top 10. And I think he is the 6th best player. I had him at 7, 6th best player in this draft. Forget positional value. If you're telling me that having a player like Brock Bowers, and we look at the value of Travis Kelce and Kittle and Andrews, and the list goes on, right? Those guys, and they were all bargains where they were taken, by the way, okay? Remember, Hawkinson went in the top 10. He went, I believe, 8 overall.
8th overall, yeah.
The Detroit Lions. T.J. Hawkinson did. So this notion that Brock Bowers can't go in the top 10, it's never. Forget Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was one of those all-around guys, too. But T.J. Hawkinson went 8th overall not that long ago. Yeah. I like Brock Bowers better than I did T.J. Hawkinson. I liked Hawkinson. I like Brock Bowers a little bit better. That's why he's at 6.
Mel, I just think in the same way that we were talking about J.J. McCarthy might go higher than our rankings, there's a chance, because of the quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle run, that Bowers goes a little bit lower than where we have him ranked. I have him 8th overall on my big board. All right, so I don't want to belabor this one, Mel, because you still love both of these players, but have you officially flipped Rome Odunze and Malik Neighbors in your wide receiver rankings?
This drives me crazy, Field. When I hear this stuff. Oh, yeah, this was this close. What
so
did I do,
Field?
Field?
I don't want to belabor.
You listen. I know you're the separation when you have 2 players that are equal, right? If I'm sitting, is the speed. Yeah. I went with the speed. I went with the explosiveness. I went with the fact that you get the ball in his hands and he can do so much. Rome Odunze is a different kind. He's a great player. I love Rome, and I'm probably going to regret moving Rome to 3. But I do think, and I said this a lot over the last couple of, you put these 3 guys in a hat, the names of Harrison, Odunze, and Neighbors, Field, and you pick one of those out of the hat, I think no matter who you pick, you're going to have a hell of a player. I really do. And I think we've had years like this before, going back into the 80s and 90s, where 3 guys went and 3 guys starred in the National Football League. Rome Odunze is phenomenal. He's silky smooth. He's consistent. He does everything on the football field. I love the kid. So, Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm loyal to a fault, and I had Marvin Harrison Jr. up there from the start to the finish, not changing that. So all 3 of these guys, you could put these guys on the board, Field, on the big board. You can put them at 1, 2, 3. You can put them at 2, 3, 4. I'm at 3, 4, 5, Field. But you can't have them out of the top 5, my friend. You got to have these 3 receivers somewhere in the top 5 overall on any big board.
Mel, I have no strong disagreement because I do believe that you are choosing between like a 99, a 98.5, and a 98 in terms of overall grades for these 3 players. The last question before we get into some players that did not make the list, Mel, is that I also see that Jayden Daniels is now number 2 overall on your big board. That's actually where I have him as well, as you and I have the exact same top 4. Why Jayden now over Marvin Harrison Jr.? Was this about positional value, or what was this about?
This is all about putting him right next to the player that I can't separate. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. with Malik Neighbors and Romo Dunze is right there.
Yeah.
Those three you're splitting hairs with all three of them, Field. And I think with Caleb and with Jayden, you're right there as well. So I just wanted to get him in a position where there's no separation. They're there, they're equal. A slight edge to Marvin Harrison Jr., then Malik, and then Rome. And Caleb maintains that top spot. But Jayden, for the way he brought, and one hesitancy for me is the fact that I had him as a fourth rounder going into this year. You say, well, that was way off. He shouldn't have been there. Joe Burrow, where was Joe Burrow going into his final year at LSU, Field? He wasn't as highly rated as he was that final year when he went number 1 overall. Wasn't even close to it. So Jayden Daniels' progression at LSU mirrored what Joe Burrow did. And that's why you see it right there. I mean, go from 17 touchdowns to 40. Completion percentage ideal each year, no problem there, right? Yardage way up. The fourth quarter numbers were outstanding. 10 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 3 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And by the way, in the fourth quarter, he completed 73% of his passes. Drake May was at 62%. Michael Penix Jr. was at 59%. So when it matters the most in the fourth quarter, and it did for LSU because their defense couldn't stop anybody, that's when Jayden Daniels was at his best. So I don't like going fourth round, the number 2 on the big board, but hey, I kind of did it with Joe Burrow. That worked out pretty good.
It did, Mel. Here's the reality is that there are players that have 4 years of starting experience that end up not playing well in the NFL. So you can't say that 1 year of dominant play is enough to say that the guy can't become a star. Joe Burrow is one example, but there are certainly plenty of other players that fit into that mold as well. I have the exact same top 4 as you, so no arguments here. Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., and also Malik Neighbors. Let's get to a few players that maybe you had a hard time leaving out, Mel. Who are they?
Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South
Love
Carolina.
him.
We talked about Brian Thomas Jr. If you're going to put Brian Thomas Jr. at 11 Field, and he's a one-year wonder.
Yep.
Xavier Legette's a one-year wonder. He had been a great kickoff returner. That's what where you hang your hat on, 30-yard average per kickoff return, right? But as a receiver, he hadn't done a lot. Well, he did a lot this year to impress. So Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina. Graham Barton, left tackle at Duke, played some center, versatile interior lineman. Graham Barton, tough to leave off. Then you go to Braden Fisk, defensive tackle, Florida State, formerly Western Michigan. Super disruptive, right? What's the one concern, Field? Short arms, right? So you say, okay, leave him off the top 25 because of that, right? Then I go to my guy, Roger Rosengarten. Like the kid a lot. 25, though, maybe just a little high. I think he's more in that 30 to 37 range. So when I do the overall top 300, okay, when that ranking comes out, he'll be, as I say, between that 28-35 range. But I think Roger Rosengarten deserves some, basically, thought process of being in the top 25 to 30. It's no longer, Field, that Kiper stunt. I don't know if you're hearing, because you're talking to all your guys, but Roger Rosengarten's name comes up a little more. And nobody really cares what I think. Okay, they don't care.
Sure they do.
But I'm hearing a little bit more of Rosengarten going in the at worst in the mid-second round.
Yeah, that's what I hear as well. That he's a second-round lock, which doesn't mean he's going to go. He could go in the first, but there's no way he falls out of the second round. In part because of all those teams that still need right tackle options. If they don't get them in the first, teams like Cincinnati and San Francisco and Baltimore, all examples of teams that could use a second-round pick on an offensive tackle. We have 1 minute left here, Mel, and I just want to say that a couple of the guys that I was missing in there that I wish I could have seen, A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas, and Penn State pass rusher Chop Robinson. A quick retort. Did either one of those players come across your mind for this top 25?
Adonai Mitchell get a little stronger, and I think obviously consistently catching the football was outstanding. And for Chop Robinson, the lack of great production. Shorter arms than you prefer, but lack of great production off the edge, despite having all those great computer measurables, numbers, and all that. I wanted to see more on the field getting it done at Penn State. That's why he's not in the top 25 right now.
I agree with what you said about Chop Robinson, and yet I still think there's a chance he goes inside the top 20 picks of the NFL draft by the time it is all said and done. He's the great Mel Kiper Jr. That is his top 25. We are back on Thursday. Make sure to check out First Draft wherever you get your podcast. Mock 2.0 drops on Wednesday. We'll talk to you guys again